welcome to Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight, where both the host and guest are alumni of our local 10-month leadership development course. This program shines a spotlight on just one of the several hundred graduates who have given countless hours of their time and effort to make things happen through leadership. I'm your host, Peter Tunis, with the class of 2023. Professionally, I'm an attorney with the Navy. I'm here in my personal capacity here today. And joining me today is David Emmons, class of 2014. Thank you for being here, David.
Very welcome, Peter. I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts and experiences with Leadership Kitsap.
And I've had the pleasure of getting to know you over the last few years through my own leadership journey and experience with Leadership Kitsap. That's probably a good place for us to start, if you want to just talk about a little bit about your leadership journey.
So sure. I moved to Kitsap in 2013 and started my job as the executive director of Olympic College. And in March of that year, my boss, Joan Hanton, who was the vice president for external relations, called me in her office and she goes, "You're going to be in a year-long leadership program. And you don't have an option, but we want you to be in this program." So I was accepted to the greatest class ever to go through Leadership Kitsap, which was the class of 2014. And I have been involved in a major way with that organization ever since. I think that it is an opportunity for all business leaders to learn about Kitsap. It's really an opportunity to know who is in leadership in Kitsap. You learn a great deal in the program. I have 5 lifelong friends that we still do things together that was in my cohort class. And they are an amazing group of people that I got to know over the year. It was an amazing opportunity for me to learn about Kitsap.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that resonates with me, getting to know the community and know people through Leadership Kitsap. Right. So do you want to talk about some of that?
Sure. Whenever I'm talking about Leadership Kitsap, I always tell people that you will learn some things about leadership that you didn't know. Because they have an incredible curriculum. It's very well thought out. It's all done on servant leadership. You will also find out about things about you personally. And I found out that through Strength Finders that I was a woo. And what a woo is, it can convince anybody to do anything for you. It's a personality trait that I hold dear to this day. But there are, I have 5 strengths, but I also have 5 weaknesses. So it's a great opportunity to learn about yourself. But more importantly, it is an opportunity for you as a leader to learn who is in leadership in the county. Because through the challenge days that Leadership Kitsap has, you really get an opportunity to learn who the leaders are. I would have never had the opportunity to meet Cliff McKenzie from Watson Furniture, who is a major economic impact force in this county. But I was able to meet with him and talk with him about his very large office furniture business. The same thing is true with Kerry Bozeman. Kerry Bozeman was a past mayor of Bremerton. He was also a past executive director of the Olympic College Foundation. So I always wanted to meet him. And we have developed a lifelong friendship now because I was able to meet him in Leadership Kitsap. But the elected officials, the business leaders, and those people that I have met, I have stayed in contact with. And that's why I really got a basis for knowing people in Kitsap. And that has proved very beneficial to me in my position as executive director of the Olympic College Foundation, and then as the president and CEO of the Greater Kitsap Chamber.
That's great. I feel like we could probably go on, fill the whole time just talking about different people in the organization.
Correct, yeah.
Do you have any others off the top?
Absolutely. One of the reasons that I say that leadership the class of 2014 for Leadership Kitsap is the greatest class, because it is what those individuals have done that were in that class for the community. I mean, Katie Walters, our current county commissioner, was in my cohort group, and I have had a lifelong friendship with Katie. By the way, she is the only person that has ever told me no when I asked her something to do, but she had a really good reason why she couldn't be a member of the Chamber Task Force, because she was running for county commissioner. And so I also, Donna Moreland, who was the philanthropist of the year for the Kitsap Community Foundation, was in that class. Kara McKay Beavers is the director of communications for the Bremerton School District, was in that class. Paul Andrews, who is our current county auditor, he was in that class. And Jeff Fawcett, who is the South Kitsap fire chief, was also in that class. None of those people were in those positions in 2014, but they have used their resources and their what they learned in Leadership Kitsap to elevate themselves to those positions. And so that's one of the reasons. Oh, and I merged two chambers. I merged the Silverdale Chamber and the Bremerton Chamber, which many said could not have ever happened. And they'd only been talking about it since 1970. And so glacial speed, but we were able to do that. And it has been very beneficial for the business community in both Silverdale and Bremerton.
Yeah, and that really resonates with me, the whole, the idea of the Leadership Kitsap's program kind of opening up the community to you.
Absolutely.
My own experience, so he's now retired, but the former executive director of the shipyard, Rick Tift, I advised him on a few matters back when I started working there, and we were just kind of on a break, and he's like, hey, you seem like you'd probably like this program, and it definitely over-delivered, in my opinion, for all the things that you've just kind of described.
Absolutely, and Rick went through Leadership Kitsap in the early stages of the program. He was also served on the board for 6 years, and so and you get to know those people. That's really one of the major benefits of going through the program. And I cannot, if you're a young leader wanting to get to know your community at all different levels, because all of the focus days are different. There's education, I always recommend people go to the state capitol in February and do the legislative day, because you get to be a fifth grader again and really get to relive those opportunities to learn more about state government and how that affects your life and the life of in your business as well. One of my favorites and most unnerving was being able to walk through the county jail. Not a lot of people get to do that. And again, that was a opportunity that we were able to do through Leadership Kitsap. Bremerton has the best water in any city, certainly in Washington, and it's because our forefathers in the 30s dammed up a river and made a reservoir. And so it's all clean, pure water. Well, we were able to go to the Kitsap Dam, which very few people do get to see. But those were opportunities that I was able to have during Leadership Kitsap that not everybody gets to do, and they are very beneficial in not only in my position here, but learning more about the county, but also now as the president of the chamber, because I know a lot of these kinds of things and can help educate people on them.
That's great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed going through as class of 2023. I thought it was nice coming back serving this year with this year's class 2024.
Right.
As you know, Greg Nance was part of this year's class, so this year's class got the additional treat of getting a tour of the office spaces for the state representatives. Which is kinda cool.
Very nice,
Yeah.
very nice. Yeah, we did not get, I mean, we did go into the Supreme Court and got to sit in the chair of the Chief Justice for the Supreme Court. And at the time, she did a tour, and it was very educational because I'd never learned about the Supreme Court. And we did get to observe the legislature in action. And that was very, very beneficial as well, because I now know that in the state of Washington, you can be licensed as a hairdresser, but not have to do nails for that. And that was the topic that, in 2014, that was on the floor. And so it was very educational. Now in my role as the chamber executive, I have a much broader view, and we are very involved in advocacy for our businesses. And so I'm in Olympia a lot more, but I know my way around there because of my start with Leadership Kitsap.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm jealous you got a chance to tour the Supreme Court. It was closed for remodeling.
Right. Because that is one of the highlights of that tour.
Yeah.
Is that tour. So maybe you can go with another class.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember my first time getting to see you in action. I was actually a part of my class. You came and spoke to us at our Personal Reflections Day.
Correct. For many years, I did gratitude because I do believe that that is one of the core values of giving back, is to help educate. So gratitude and appreciation is something that I believe very strongly about, because I believe if someone does something good or something for you, you need to recognize them for that. And recently, I was awarded the 2024 Alumni of the Year award from Leadership Kitsap, which has truly meant a great deal for me. My staff was joking because I had been in the hospital for an illness, and it was, and I told the doctor that I needed to get out of that hospital at noon on Wednesday, because Wednesday night was the presentation, and my staff joked that it didn't matter that I would be coming with an IV hooked to me in my hospital gown to make that presentation, because the organization has truly meant a great deal to me. It's why I have given back over the years, and I believe that it really is an organization that's worthy of my time and energy and my financial support. So, yeah.
And it really comes through. I mean, that was my perception of you
Right.
when you spoke to our class, and then in all my interactions throughout, and when you spoke at the celebration. It's just
Right.
you have kind of a warmth about you and an authenticity that really comes through, which is,
Thank you.
again, one of the things I really love about Leadership Kitsap is it
Yeah.
seems like it has a lot of people that have that in them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And giving back to the community is such an important part. And one of the things that one of my accomplishments that I feel most proud of is that about five or 6 years ago, David Nelson from the Kitsap Sun came to the executive director, Katie Walters, and I, and they wanted to give up the 20 under 40 program, because they were not able to do it anymore, and they would support us, but it needed to go to a new home. And so it was a perfect fit for Leadership Kitsap, because what better way for a leadership organization to honor 20 individuals under the age of 40 with an award. So for the first, as long as it's been in existence, I have helped with that organization. And it has really blossomed into a signature program for Leadership Kitsap. And I am very proud that I was able to talk with the board about that and get them to, Katie helped a great deal, I might add, to make sure that was a program that we wanted to do, and it is now one of their signature programs. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to, take a moment to thank you for your service with that. So just, my little bit of kind of getting in the game, coming back after graduating,
Right.
Realizing how much, whether it's the celebration of the signature program or the 20 under 40, it's like
Right.
a lot of this doesn't happen if we don't have David Emmons and his service. So
Thank you.
it was honestly like the little bit I did for the 20 under 40. It was again, kind of a warm, connecting type of experience, kind of
Correct.
watching the relationship that it looks like you
Right.
have built with people like Theresa
Yeah.
Smith or Michelle Purdue, and you guys kind of all come together and get into a state of flow and
Correct.
kind of work through the chaos of getting the event on. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And many people don't know that when I lived in St. Louis, I owned a entertainment company, event planning company, Wild Applause. And so occasionally you will see that pop up in Kitsap. And that is me because I have a huge storeroom of decorations, and I do offer that and my services to help with that. And Leadership Kitsap is the beneficiary of that, 20 under 40. So I have been able to do the decor for centerpieces for that event for the last 6 years. And it's great volunteers like you and the board that help me be able to pull that off. I also do it for graduation, and there are a couple of other organizations that I give that service to, but it is my way of giving back because I have this plethora of decor items that at some point I need to sell off, but for right now it's still a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, no, you've really you've made some beautiful events. It really made some venues shine, in the few years that I've been a part of it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
I'm trying to think what else. So I think we talked a little bit about projects before we got started.
Correct.
You want to talk more
one of
about
the things
projects?
that you learn in Leadership Kitsap is that everybody is in a team of 5 or 6 individuals. I mean, we have a class of 30, and then you're broken down into a team. And that time, you have a team project, and it is all done with your values of the team, and you really talk about it. And one of the things that there are over probably 300 projects that were done with Leadership Kitsap in the county, and it's a way to give back, and it's a way to learn leadership. Not all teams work well together, but you learn. You're smiling but you learn how to work within a team. Good, bad, or indifferent, you learn something about your leadership and your leadership style. Now, I had an amazing team, and we did a project on volunteerism because we wanted to if you wanted to volunteer, we wanted to make it easy for you to volunteer in Kitsap County. So we worked with United Way, and they still have the volunteer center up. And so if you want to volunteer, you just go to volunteerkitsap.org, I believe, but it's been a few years since I went to the website. But United Way has continued that program. We also did a volunteer training, a one-day training for learning how to be a volunteer and how to set up for nonprofits volunteer programs. And so that was very beneficial to the community as well. And there's lots of other ones. I mean, there are a lot of them are still in going on. At Rotary this morning, we heard about the Music Discovery Center, and Irene Moyer, who's the vice president for the chamber, her group did a collection of instruments, old used instruments for the Music Discovery Center. And so that was a Leadership Kitsap program. They partnered with the Admiral Theater to collect them during a concert, and they were overwhelmed at how many people gave of their musical instruments that they're not using anymore. And then the Music Discovery Center, they clean them up, make them working, make them tuned, and give them to children in the public schools so that they're able to have a musical instrument. That is an amazing program. One of the programs that is old pills. How many of our medicine cabinets have old prescription pills? Well, you can't just dump them down the toilet. You have to turn them in. So there are boxes in Kitsap, and the Kitsap Sheriff's Office has a box that was a leadership Kitsap program, and you can turn in your pills to those places so that they're not just dumped down the toilet or thrown in the trash. So those are all examples of great leadership programs that are in the community because of Leadership Kitsap.
That's awesome. Yeah, Irene's awesome.
Right.
That's a great example of a project.
Yeah.
Also kind of resonated with me, from my own personal experience going through the year. You mentioned like the group values discussion.
Correct.
I thought that was kind of nice, just because a lot of times people don't take the time to kind of sit down and think for a minute. It's like, what am I really about?
Right.
And then have a group discussion like, well, what are we all about?
Right.
And so not every team is going to have the same experience. Some are going to be good, bad, and ugly. Mine ended up being good. And for me, it's like when you have kind of like a community project that kind of as aligned with those values,
correct,
you find that you're much more motivated and satisfied with the kind of the journey through that experience.
Absolutely, and that is a great discussion. Leadership Kitsap starts off with a 2-day retreat where you learn about yourself because you are taking Strength Finders, Myers-Briggs, and several other personality tests, so that you can find out and I don't know that it's done this way anymore, but that's how groups were formed, so that you did have some different values. And it was how we express those values. And we spent a great deal of time during the first 3 months coming up with our project and making sure that our project met our values. And so, one of the things that was very apparent that we all wanted to give back in a positive way for the community, and we felt like this was a way to do that. And so, and like I said earlier, you learn a lot about yourself as well as a leader, and that was very important to me as well.
Yeah. Similar, I really enjoyed the Myers-Briggs type indicator.
Correct.
And Strength Finders as well. Although I will say it does pretty good, for like what we might jokingly call the Carly magic of putting together the teams.
Right.
But in my conversations with Carly and Misty, Tobin, is that they'll frequently kind of, I'm an introvert, and it's like, well, but I'm an extrovert, but you're a better public speaker than me, so.
Correct. Well, and the whole introvert extrovert thing, because one of Melissa, I can't remember her last name. She was with the hospital. And she really is the one that explained the introvert-extrovert thing to me the most, because she could outspeak or outshine anyone in that class. She's now in leadership at Virginia Mason in Cincinnati, but she was the most extroverted person that you'd ever meet. And yet, she was an introvert, and it was how you get your personal strength. It's not how you're viewed, it's how you get your personal strength. And so I am an extreme extrovert. In a group of people, there is nothing that I like more than being in a large group of people. If I had to be by myself in my house all the time, it would drive me nuts. COVID was not a good thing for an extrovert because I didn't do well. But there are people that need that downtime and need that time to rejuvenate themselves, and that's what an extrovert does. They're by themselves, whereas and so I think that really was explained to me in Leadership Kitsap, so that I know now that introverts do need some downtime, and they can't be on stage all the time. They can do it, and they do very well, but it's not for an extended period of time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know for me personally, it was interesting coming back this year and kind of helping the small teams work through their stuff.
Right.
It's such a great organization as far as whether it's board, alumni, people that are willing to kind of extend themselves.
Correct.
To watch kind of the individuals in last year's class kind of like go through the good, the bad, and the ugly of life
Right.
was kind of a remarkable experience.
Right. And when you're in the program, I don't know that you really recognize what the other groups are doing because you get together once a month. But you know, we met every week for an hour and a half to talk about our project and to work on our project. And we didn't realize that there was a group that was just having major problems. But they were able to work it out, and they had an amazing project for Illahee Reserve, and they did wood chips on trails, which was a huge project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I agree with that assessment. You know, in my experience going through the program, you kind of got your head down.
Correct.
And then when you get to the other side, it's like, well, there's people having significant life events here as we're going through the program.
Absolutely. So, and you know, the team really does help with that because we are all very supportive of each other during the year. And you know, and like I said, it is 5 people that I will always have a relationship with, and they're pretty amazing on my team.
Yeah, I'd second that in my experience. I think that you come in with your preconceived notions, like there's going to be maybe some people that have this idea there's going to be an equal spread of labor throughout the year.
Right.
It's like, well, there's an ebb and a flow. It's like, who can pull the weight right now? Who needs to take a knee?
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. And that's really the group dynamics in play, and that's really what business leaders are really looking for, those people that can work in a team, because that is will help you be successful in your career, is if you can work in a team and get along with people. And so that's what I think another value is of Leadership Kitsap, and a very important value, because you need to work as a group to get things accomplished. So much more is done that way. Yeah.
Well, you've been great today.
Thank
you for sharing your time and your experience with us.
You know, like I said earlier, I absolutely love this organization. I will always support it. I will always make sure that I recruit for it. Same thing is true with 20 under 40, because I just believe in the mission of the organization, and so it's an important. It's important in my life, and has a special place in my heart.
Awesome, same.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight. If you want to become part of a vibrant team working to build a new and continuing source of fine leaders right here in Kitsap County, reach out to us online at leadershipkitsap.org or on Instagram and Facebook. For the Leadership Kitsap Alumni Spotlight, I'm Peter Tunis. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.